Hello, everyone. It's Chris Confessore, music director of your Brevard Symphony Orchestra, welcoming you to another online preview of an upcoming concert by the orchestra. This will be the third concert on the orchestra's subscription series this year. The concert will take place on Saturday, January 22nd. And we have two performances. This will be the first concert on our matinee series. So we have a 2 o'clock performance as well as the 7:30 performance. As always, our performances are at the lovely King Center for the Performing Arts, where we are the orchestra in residence. Tickets start at $19. And reminder again, we are back to regular seating, not physically distanced seating for these performances. The BSO and King Center's COVID policy continues as it has been for this season, where regardless of your vaccination status, we do have masks required for all in attendance. We have a beautiful program to kick off the new year. We have two works that have been composed just within the last couple of years, as well as a favorite symphony by Dvorak. For today's presentation, I'm joined by our guest artist as well as the composer of the piece that the guest artist is performing. I'm joined by film composer George S. Clinton, as well as our violin soloist, Holly Mulcahy. The piece they're playing is The Rose of Sonora, and it is called a violin concerto in 5 scenes. And let's welcome our guests to tell us about this piece. Welcome, George and Holly. Hi, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you, Chris. Hi. Great to be here.
Glad to have you. Thanks for making time. So, Holly is coming to us from today from Chicago, and George, you're out in California.
Yes, Hollywood, Los Angeles.
Awesome. So technology is amazing that we can have this
It is.
conversation. So George is a native of Chattanooga, Tennessee, and Holly, you have served as the concertmaster there for a number of years, and you all met on a project there, I believe. Why don't George? Why don't you start off by telling how you both met and how this project came to be? And Holly, feel free to jump in when he gets the details wrong.
One of the things please do. One of the things I was hoping to do is establish a film music festival every year in Chattanooga, and so we had two of them. And Holly played on the second one. After two, we figured that the audience was just not there for it at that time. But we had some good people down. Alan Silvestri was there, and Don Davis, and some really good composers, and conducting their music to the movie, and that was fantastic. But there just wasn't the audience for it at the time. But Holly, who was already concertmaster for the Masterworks series, was asked to play the was it this it was yeah it was that festival, right, Holly, is that right?
It was. That was.
Am I getting this right?
You're getting it
And
right.
so
Doing
that's great. So that's where we met, and I was delighted to find out she was such a big fan of film music, and we remained friends. We still are friends, but it wasn't at that time that she approached me about the concerto. Holly, you want to talk about that?
Yeah. Like George said, my big love, what drew me into music in the first place, was the music of films. It wasn't orchestral music. It was the soundtrack from James Bond and Star Wars and Out of Africa. Those soundtracks just really invigorated me as a musician. So when I got a chance to play on this particular series, I jumped on it and made friends, like George said. And then, a couple of years passed, and my summers I spend in the Grand Teton Music Festival out in Wyoming. And I never really let anybody know about my love of film scores, and especially quietly, I never shared that I love Western film scores from the Western movies. When I would travel out to Wyoming, I would have a CD with hours and hours of every Western movie soundtrack possible, and it would get me in the mood. And I let my guard down one day, sitting in Wyoming, after rehearsal, and just looking out at the sky and the mountains, and I thought, oh, if there was only a violin concerto that sounded like a Western, I would be all over it. And I carelessly let my guard down and put that out on Facebook. And I thought, as soon as I hit enter, there goes my career. I will no longer be taken seriously by anybody. Um, and I thought, all right, whatever. And within seconds, everybody was liking it and commenting, and some really big, famous conductors and composers and musicians said, that is a fantastic idea. And so that just confirmed that there should be a violin concerto in the style of an epic Western. And I thought, hey, I know people. So the next day I called George and I said, hey, would you like to write a violin concerto in the style of an epic Western? And he said yes. And I thought, dang, good, okay. And then we started talking about the idea of it. I just wanted that soundscape, that drive, that richness that just makes you feel like you're in an open plains, or just energized by something, of the West. But George took it another step. And George, you want to pick it up here?
Yes, as I started writing this, I realized how addicted I am to having a story to tell because that's been my whole career. Music is all about,
Right.
film music is all about storytelling. So we had talked, no, I know, I told Holly that I needed to come up with some kind of a story. And she said, well, maybe it should be about a female outlaw or something. And so we started investigating, big tooth, what is it? Big nose
Well,
Kate.
there's Big Nose Kate and Squirrel Tooth Alice.
I don't know why these women had such wonderful descriptive names, but they did. But there were plenty of Western female outlaws. So then I decided, okay, we're going to create our own character. And so I wrote a story, the story of Rose of Sonora in these five scenes, and whittled it down to these five scenes. And when Holly came out uh, she came out to visit to see how I was doing on it. That's when I presented that idea to her. Let's make this a story about this heroine I've come up with called the Rose of Sonora, and of course she was all over that.
Yeah, the reason that that drew me in was one of the other aspects that brought me into the music world was Scheherazade, a story of a female
Mm.
powerhouse. It was
Hmm.
intelligence, she was beautiful, but she was intelligent. And same with Rose of Sonora, she's everything that's missing from the typical Western movie. Usually, the females in these Western movies are offering a cup of coffee or would you like some pie? And they're
Mhm.
helpless. And Rose is what that music was to me as a little girl growing up. Why can't I be that? Why can't I be that powerful? And Rose of Sonora is that powerful, and it offers a really great story, but untapped topic, which is female outlaws. And there were a lot of really terrible women, powerful women too, I should say.
Terrible.
Well,
Well,
Wow.
terribly powerful,
terribly powerful.
terribly powerful. Yes, it was a perfect counterpoint to what has been a very masculine story.
Sure, sure. So, George, as I look through your list of films that you've provided the music for over the years, I mean, some of your most best known work is, Austin Powers movies, Mortal Kombat, but there's a huge variety, family films, action films, dramas, all. Have you scored for a Western film before, or was this a new challenge for you?
Well, actually, I had done years ago a tribute, I guess, film to the spaghetti western that was done for Turner Broadcasting System. That's how long ago it was. I don't know if you remember
Mhm.
Turner, but anyway, it was sort of Martin Sheen was in it, and somebody else. I've forgotten who it was, but it was it was fun. It was a real. It wasn't done as a comedy. It was done as a serious homage to that style of film, And so, yeah, I had gotten a chance to score that particular movie in that way, and I had sent Holly some examples from it, and she really responded to that as well. So being able to write concert music, I'm addicted to it now. I have to say, there's no director standing over my shoulder,
Mhm.
telling me even though it's a beautiful piece of music that it doesn't work, and sometimes saying, "I can't tell you how much I hate that." So it's a big relief when it's just me, standing in the studio. And Holly, one of the great things about her, she's such a great collaborator. And we would throw ideas back and forth, whether it was, I would say, how can you do this, And she'd go, well, this would sound better. And I go, great, let's do that. So back and forth like that. It was customized. It's a bespoke concerto for Holly.
That's great. Well, so you all made a sort of a mock-up recording of the piece to share, to help promote it and to share with other orchestras, and that's how I first heard about it. And we have a short excerpt from the first movement, or sorry, the first scene of the concerto that we'd like to share with everyone. And Andres has a picture he's going to show with it. Was in Holly. This is when you did I guess, the preview performance in Wichita. Holly also
Right.
serves as concertmaster of the Wichita, is it Symphony? Wichita
It
Symphony
is.
Orchestra or okay. And so tell us about this. It was a teaser, like a preview concert, right?
This is George's idea of creating a movie style teaser, like a preview. Because when you go to a concert, we always, as musicians, hope to bring people back. How can we bring people back? And we were doing a film concert again in Chattanooga about 4 months before this concerto was going to be performed. And we decided, let's see if we can ask our way onto this concert and offer this as a
Ah,
preview to help boost ticket sales, which absolutely did. And so George created a 3 minute kind of a mashup, very artfully mashed up of several of the movements together. And it ends in a bang. And this was on a Pops concert. So there were a lot of Pops audiences that came to that Masterworks concert. And we've done this preview in a number of cities. And each time they sell out the Masterworks concert with Pops people. I mean,
hmm,
there's two audiences, the Pops audience and the classical audience. And the goal is to try to get them both to come to everything. And so
sure.
by offering this preview, this movie teaser on this kind of pops only concert, people get curious and like, hey, that sounds like music I'd like to hear. So they will come on to a typical Masterworks concert. And so we did this in Wichita, and we've done this in South Bend, and both times sells really well. So
Ah, that's great.
it's a good
All right.
preview.
Well, Andres, why don't you? Andres is our producer of this program. Andres, why don't you let everybody hear this excerpt from The Rose of Sonora by George Clinton with Holly Mulcahy playing the violin. So exciting. Everyone's going to love it. It's such a unique color. Tell us how you decided. So there's a men's chorus
Yeah.
in this score. Tell us how you decided to add that to the orchestra.
If you listen to Morricone's music behind The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, he used a men's chorus. So I wanted to
Uh-huh.
find aspects of Westerns, iconic sounds from Western scores, and kind of pull them into and use them in this score so that it's familiar in its sonic identity, to being part of the West. And so I think that helped me a lot in terms of the trumpet solo, or there's a little thing Holly plays that's a motif that happens in the beginning and at other places. And there's once upon a time in the West, I think there's a harmonica riff that's not
Hmm.
quite like that, but serves the same purpose. So being able to pull in these sort of iconic sounds into my score, I think really helps ground the listener and the audience into being part of that.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I mean, it has familiarity. It's the ultimate in accessibility. You hear it for the first time, yet it seems familiar. And you were saying earlier, you really wanted, especially audiences who aren't used to coming to concerts, to be able to hear this the first time and just immediately be drawn in. And I think. What you've just described are some of the ways that make that possible. It's just very compelling music. You have a built-in protagonist in the solo violinist, and yeah, it's an ingenious idea. We have a couple of great concert works that are drawn from film scores for solo violin. The Red Violin
Oh
pieces
yeah,
by John Corigliano and the
yeah,
Schindler's List pieces by
oh
John
yeah.
Williams. Our concertmaster is playing those next month on a concert we're
Wow.
doing. But this is kind of it's the concerto for the movie that hasn't been made yet, I guess. But it's
It's
uh,
a, it's
it's
what
just
exactly.
brilliant,
Or the
and
Thank you.
I know
And
everyone's going to
it's
love
a
it. And we thank you so much for being so generous in sharing the piece with us. And Holly, you've been great on, as you mentioned, social media earlier. That's how I found out about the project. Was how you had promoted it there, and we got to communicating back and forth, and it's amazing how the world is, we're able to find out about new music this way, whereas it used to be a totally different process in the past.
Definitely. We've got
So
people who they've heard this for the first time. They will be traveling to Florida to hear it for a second time. So out of staters
that,
coming in to get it.
that's exciting. You've got a crew of groupies coming from Chattanooga, and we've been contacted by people from other places, and that's exciting. And I've seen the same thing in your performances, in advance of your online for South Bend and Wichita and so forth, and that's exciting that people are they're following you around like they follow a pop star. That's cool.
It's great.
That's great. Well, I thank you both for making time for us today. I think our audience will enjoy hearing this, and we'll look forward to coming to the performance again. Any final thoughts you'd like to share with everyone?
I'm sorry I can't be there. I had planned on being there, but I'm working on a project and the deadline is just too short for me to take the time. So I'll be there in spirit.
We appreciate that. And so I think I shared with you all that this performance, Andres and his team will be audio and video recording the performance. So we'll have a delayed stream of the concert.
Ah,
So that will air, or that will go live on. a week later, so January 29th. So we'll make sure
Oh,
you have
fantastic.
that link, and sometimes we're able to do like a live viewing party. And if we do, and you're free, we'd certainly love to have you in on the. It's just the typing chat, not a video thing
Oh,
like
yeah.
this. But
That sounds great.
we'll let you know that when that is, and so you'll be able to hear the performance and enjoy it that way. And then we'll just have to, have you write a tuba concerto or something else, and have you come back and get you to Florida that way. But
I
thank you
would
both
love
so
that. I
much
would
for
love
your
it.
time today. It's been wonderful hearing about this project, and we can't wait to share the music with everyone in a little over a week.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. So to wrap up, again, the concert is Saturday, January 22nd at the King Center, 2 o'clock and 7:30. In addition to the Rose of Sonora, we also have a new work by Valerie Coleman called 7 O'Clock Shout that is very timely. It's inspired by during the pandemic early on in New York City when New Yorkers would lean out of their windows and cheer for the healthcare workers as they were coming off their shift. That's what 7 o'clock shout refers to. It's
Hmm.
very Copeland-esque and has a lot of call and response, very upbeat work to open the concert. And then after intermission, we have Dvorak's Eighth Symphony. So three wonderfully accessible pieces that show off our amazing orchestra. And we look forward to everyone joining us for the performances. For more information, visit brevardsymphony.com, and we'll see you at the concert. Thank you very much.